Here we are on this beautiful Monday, a Monday that sees the New York Jets win a football game, a Monday after the New York Giants lose an improbable game, and a Monday that features the New York Mets beginning this incredibly important 7-game homestand without Francisco Lindor. Lindor said he's feeling okay, but not great. It could be 2 to 3 days. It could be 3 to 5 days. But what we know is he's not in the lineup tonight against the Washington Nationals. The Joe Benigno Football Monday call-in is brought to you by Empire City Casino. Winners play here. By Approved Oil, lock in your low oil rate at freezetherate.com. And by HL Gross Jewelers of Garden City. Bro, how you doing, man?
Well, before we even get to the Jets, okay, did I hear this right, and I love Mendoza, that he's playing the speed skater tonight instead of Acuna?
Yes.
How is that possible?
I don't understand that one.
I mean, what is he? What, because he's a left-hand hitter?
Yes.
The guy, come on.
And that's
Send him back to the freaking Olympics. What is that?
And to me, that's overthinking it because Luis Angel Acuna has played 2 games as a New York Met. He had some very good at-bats in his Major League debut on Saturday.
No doubt.
And then even yesterday, I know he didn't hit, but he made a really good defensive play behind second. Let the kid play. As long as Lindor's out, to me, I agree with you. Luis Angel Acuna should get that first crack at the shortstop job.
No, there's no question about it, 100%. 100%.
But you're right. This is Mendy overthinking, well, Jake Irvin's a righty. We're facing 2 lefties the next 2 days. So it's only going to be for 1 day because they're facing 2 lefties coming up.
Yeah, but
I still wouldn't do it.
But don't you trust that Mendy will, if he's wrong, he'll just admit it and go do what's right?
I mean,
I feel like he's not as tied as Boone is to whatever the plan is. You know what I mean? He plays it more with his gut.
Yeah, I agree with you, but here's the problem. They only have 13 games left.
That's it. Yeah. And every game is a must-win here, man. You got to win these 3 games against Washington.
Acuna's only been up here for, 3 days?
Okay, Eddie Alvarez is a speed skater who hasn't been in the major leagues for 2 years.
Okay, but he's been a major leaguer.
Oh, stop.
I'm just telling you, it's hard as a skip, manager, coach, whatever, to trust the rookie in a very short, critical moment when these postseason's on the line.
Yeah, but Eddie Alvarez?
It's Eddie Alvarez.
Okay, but he's a veteran.
Talking about
it's the same thing with Yankee fans when they're like Dominguez or Verdugo.
No, it's not. Verdugo's a major leaguer.
No, it's not. This guy's played 10 seconds in the major leagues. Come on.
Now, with that said, Joe,
yes.
I will give you a big hug tomorrow, Tiki, if Eddie Alvarez goes 4 for 5.
Yeah, hey, look, that just if that happens, just solidifies Mendoza as manager of the year.
How worried are you though about Lindor right now?
I'm worried about it. I mean, the guy plays every minute of every game. Mm-hmm. I mean, and he's not playing. So, I mean, you have to be a little worried about it. And let's be honest, this team, the bottom line on our team, bro, is they don't hit.
Yeah.
They don't hit enough. The pitching has carried them. You could kill Diaz all you want about yesterday. They don't hit.
No, it's on the offense.
That's the bottom line. It's all on the offense. I'm sick and tired of these guys. They strike out constantly. They swing at pitches 50 feet off the plate. It makes me delirious. And that's the bottom line.
And now they need, and I'm not necessarily confident it's going to happen, but over the next 13 days, they need Pete Alonso to go on a tear.
No question.
They need J.D. Martinez to go on a tear.
These
guys, they're all capable of it. It's not like the Mets have a horrible roster, but Lindor's carried them for months. Now it's time they return the favor.
They're getting bigger hits from Tyrone Taylor, who has really been a tremendous player for them this year, than they're getting from the big guy. Nimmo's got 3 home runs since the All-Star break. What, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And Alonso, he hits a flutter ball the other night when they're up 10-0 off Clemens' kid. Maybe I could have hit a pitch there too. and he hits it out of the ballpark. Big effing deal, Come on.
I'm with you on that. How about the Jets? What's your feeling on the win yesterday?
Boy, here's my feeling on the win. Boy, it's all about the quarterback. Let's be real. It's all about the quarterback. And let's be real about this too. This team, the strength of this team is the offense, not the defense anymore. Mm-hmm. This defense is not as good as it was last year. Let's tell it like it is. Now you got Jermaine Johnson. He's done for the year. And I know McDonald had a nice game yesterday. You're going to need a lot more of that from him. Even Kinlaw did some things. Solomon Thomas. Sauce Gardner was terrible yesterday. Got beat on that touchdown by Ridley. There was another one where Ridley dropped one. That could have been a touchdown. He did not have a good game at all. Their best defensive player is Quincy Williams by miles. It's not even debatable. And now you got an injury to Mosley. And we'll see. Maybe Mosley will play Thursday night. Maybe that's why they kept him out of the rest of the game. But to me, the bottom line is this. We got a real quarterback. we got two monsters in the backfield in Breece Hall and this kid Allen, who looks like he's absolutely going to be terrific. Even Mike Williams, and what I thought was, you want to say the biggest play of the game was Will Levis deciding to lateral the ball to Quincy Williams. I mean, that really kind of turned the game around.
Right, it did.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
You go up 2 scores regardless. All you got to do is protect the ball. You're up 2 scores. Even if it's not a touchdown, it's 2 scores.
Right. But the biggest play of the game to me was the 2nd and 16 after that stupid lateral to Breece that lost 6 yards and hitting Mike Williams on the sideline for that first down.
Huge play.
And by the way,
I thought that was the biggest play of the game on the game-winning touchdown.
That's why you'd say it's the quarterback, because he makes those throws. He's not afraid to throw that throw. If he doesn't see, and I think they said this on that broadcast, if you see the back of the helmet, he's open, right? And so Aaron Rodgers, maybe it was a different broadcast, but Aaron Rodgers does that as good as anybody. But you talked about those 2 running backs. I think the strength of their team is their running back situation.
Yeah.
Because they're mismatches. We saw it in the passing game with Breece Hall, and we heard, anecdotally afterwards that, hey, Aaron, if I got a linebacker on me, I'm running to go. Throw it to me.
And we saw the touchdown.
And we saw it, And Braylon Allen is such a heavy runner. Like, it all of a sudden solves your 3rd and short situation, it's issues. You don't feel like you have to have like this unbelievably creative play to get a first down, right? Just turn around and hand it off. And the other thing, getting both those guys on the field at the same time is awesome.
Yeah. Hey, look, Breece Hall can split out like a wide receiver. I mean, he's got a lot of Marshall Faulk in him as far as I'm concerned.
Agreed.
Very similar type of player.
Agreed.
And I'll tell you something else, guys. And nobody's talking about it, but this offensive line, I mean, look, they were a little slow in the Niner game. They didn't really run block well. I thought they pass blocked. Yesterday, you saw the run blocking starting to come around. And I'll tell you, if this offensive line stays healthy, this is going to be a very good offensive football team.
Yeah.
Very good.
Pass protection was awesome. It was very good against the Niners. It was even better last week. And you know what was nice to see? It was nice to see the other team have a quarterback do stupid things that cost them team the game. And we have the smart quarterback that does the smart things that wins us a game. Like, what a novelty that is.
Yep. Yeah, there's no question about that. Levis, I mean, he had some moments.
Sure.
I mean, he had that 40-yard run. He had the touchdown pass to Ridley. He gets out of that sure sack on the final drive of the game. I don't know how the hell he did that for about a 13-yard run. But, he made that bonehead play like he did in the Bear game when he flipped the ball to the sideline. Kid takes it in for a touchdown. And even the interception. I want to give some credit to Brandon Echols, because every time this guy plays, he makes plays, this guy.
Yeah.
And he's not the best corner in the world, but he'll make plays. And let's not forget as well, this kid Charles, okay?
Irving
on
Charles.
special teams.
Oh, man.
He was a demon. He covering punts. He blocks the punt. They should have got more than 3 out of it. If Ruckert kept running in the end zone and didn't stop,
touchdown.
Maybe that would have been a touchdown on that pass from Rodgers after the block punt. But he really, he was a big part of the game.
I was saying to Tiki, I may want to get the Irving Charles jersey. I mean, the guy made 3 impactful special teams plays. Obviously, the block punt, but even on coverage, like he took the Titans back, I'd say at least 8 or 9 yards on a couple of possessions. He was awesome. But you're right, and it's weird to say this. I know we're only 2 weeks into the season. You can see how this offense can be dynamic, how it can be amazing. And you look at the defense, and you see a ton of concerns. Sauce having the worst game of his career, losing Jermaine Johnson, not being great at stopping the run, though they were a little bit better yesterday. Like, you could see how the defense, who last year was the ultimate strength of this team, could actually turn into a liability for this team.
Well, they're going to have to. The defense is going to have to be run differently now. They're going to have to blitz. They blitzed a couple times yesterday. They don't blitz enough. They're going to have to blitz more to go after the quarterback. And let's be honest, bro. As much as it bothers me, you got to get Reddick in the house now. They got to somehow find a way to get Reddick here. I mean, if I'm Joe Douglas right now, I got to be talking to this guy. Look, you're not going to see him Thursday, even if they sign him now. You probably wouldn't see him maybe till Minnesota in London, okay? I don't know. But the bottom line is you got to get Reddick on a contract now.
Yeah,
they have to do it.
I just think that's easier said than done because he still wants a big contract.
I get it.
You know what I mean? And I don't know if they're willing to do that for him. I mean, not that he's not necessarily worth it, but it's just I don't know if it's calculated into their game plan.
I agree that their game plan was not to give him that, but here's the problem. Like, this is a win-now team.
Yep.
They just
No
lost
doubt.
Jermaine Johnson. Like, they need Haason Reddick. Like, they need him. He makes the Jets a lot better. And
of course.
what are you going to do? You're going to play this game of chicken?
By the way, I'm not denying that, because you look at the depth on the defensive line, and it's not as solid as you would hope it was going to be coming into this season when you traded for Haason Reddick. But you still got to be fiscally responsible. And so maybe they're going to now have to cave, but I don't know if that's necessarily what Joe Douglas's intent is right now. I think.
Is there any way to get this guy just on a 1 year? I guess he's under contract already. But is there any way to get him on just a 1 year?
Well, the challenge, Joe, from a Haason Reddick standpoint, and I get this, is that he is grossly underpaid for a defensive end. The top D ends are making. Close to $28 million, even let's just say 24. He's making 15, and his salary this year is like $750,000. So that cap hit is what the signing bonus that he signed with the Philadelphia Eagles provided him. Like, his cash coming in this year is under $1 million. It's like he's
that's crazy.
Right? It's
unbelievable.
It's like he's a replaceable player.
Right.
So that's really the issue.
That's like chump change in the NFL.
It might be league minimum.
Yeah,
I think it's right around that. And so I understand why Haason Reddick is pissed off, right? I can understand why he's disgruntled. It's because he's not compensated from an AAV standpoint, but certainly not from a what are the Jets paying me standpoint to be, okay, I'm going to come play and give you all my effort, and if I get hurt, I get no contract next year.
Yeah.
So I get it, but they have to account for that, and that's the challenge with Haason Reddick.
Circumstances change. Let's just be honest.
Yeah,
the Jets' circumstances are completely different than they were 3 weeks ago.
And they can't, or they're not good at getting after the passer with 4.
No.
Right?
They got a blitz, T.
Right, they do. And even Will McDonald's sacks, the first 2, one, he wasn't even blitzing, or he wasn't even rushing. He was a dropout lineman. And Will had what's the quarterback name? I'm forgetting his name. Will Levis. Will Levis had nowhere to go with the football. He decides to scramble, and McDonald tackles him behind the line of scrimmage.
Right.
He wasn't rushing him. The second one, he was on the ground, and his leg kind of came up and tripped him. That's the one where he fumbled
the
lateral.
Right.
The third one was a good sack, but like we're lauding Will McDonald for having a good game. Statistically, he did, but eye test wise, it wasn't like elite pass rushing. You know what I mean?
No.
And so there is a definite need for a team that can't get home with 4 to have a guy who can get home by himself. And that's what Haason Reddick does. It's just challenging because they really don't want to pay him.
But they got to start blitzing. There's no doubt in my mind, Teak. Look, I mean, when Rex Ryan was here, we had Revis. And look, Sauce Gardner is not Darrelle Revis at this point, okay?
No, he's not physical like him.
No, but you had Revis on one side, you had Antonio Cromartie on the other, okay? And you saw Rex blitz all the time because he knew he had these 2 guys to cover the outside. Salah won't do that. Even when DJ Reed's healthy, I mean, he's not doing that. You got to start sending the safeties. I got to see Quincy Williams blitz. I got to see Sauce blitz off the corner.
Yeah, it just gets hard because you're then so unsound behind it. You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying. I get it. I do. But you know what, Teak? When you got what we have on the offense now,
right?
You can get away with it. In the years gone by when Zach Wilson's the quarterback, of course not. You can't do that.
Right. You give up points. Right. Previous years, it was like, all right, it's over. We're done.
Right. And speaking of Sauce, Show, I'm starting to be worried about him.
Yeah.
Week 1, he disappears for 9 plays. Robert Saleh says,
after a shoulder injury.
Off the field.
Okay, but the head coach said he didn't say it was an injury. Now, you're probably right, Teak, that it was, but he said he needed a blow. And then yesterday, I thought that was the worst game we ever saw Sauce play.
He was terrible. Yeah. I mean, look,
he felt tentative,
on that touchdown to Ridley, I thought Chuck Clark intercepted it initially looking at it, and then all of a sudden, he's got the ball. Now, let's be honest about this, too. I think they would have scored anyway. Sauce did contact them at about the 2-yard line.
Yeah.
Even though they didn't. It probably wouldn't have mattered. They would have scored the touchdown anyway. But, be that as it may. But he was not good yesterday. You're 100% right.
How about these penalties? Because this continues to be a major issue on defense. The one I'll excuse is the Jermaine Johnson roughing the passer because that was BS.
Mm-hmm. That was, I don't know about that one.
Yeah. But the rest of it, like Chuck Clark's horse collar, just a lot of dumb penalties. And this is a trend.
Well, penalties on the defense, but how about the delay of games? I mean, let's be honest. They blew 2 timeouts early in the second half because they were about to get delay of game penalties on offense.
Yeah.
And now it didn't come back to hurt them. You know, it didn't matter at the end of the game. The timeouts didn't come into play. But you can't have that. I mean, well, how is that possible, you know?
Yeah, I have more confidence of that being cleaned up because Aaron Rodgers has always done that where he works the play clock down to like the bare minimum. And look, it's still early. They're getting the offense figured out. So that's one of those things I think will be cleaned up. The defensive miscues, they haven't been cleaned up for 2.5 years.
No, there's much too many penalties on the defensive side of the ball. I couldn't agree. You know, the defensive holding penalties, which is probably the killer penalty of the league.
Yep.
Yeah, something's got to be done about that. The illegal contact, which so many times doesn't affect the play whatsoever, and you get 5 yards and an automatic first down. It's absurd, no doubt.
We're talking to Joe Benigno. All right, this Patriot game. I watched a little bit of the New England game against Seattle.
Right.
They've been better.
Thank you, Seahawks.
Yeah, thank you very much. I didn't want to go in and facing them 2-0, but the Patriots have been a lot better than people expected.
Yep.
Does your expectations change a little bit going into Thursday night with the way they've played? Because I wanted to kill them. I think when we talked about it during the offseason, it was, we better beat this team by 30. I don't know about you. Just get out of there with a victory.
No, that's it. I mean, look, there's no style points, as you know. I mean, look, every game is losable. I mean, let's be honest about it.
Yes.
And by the way, I think that's any team in the NFL, Joe.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, I called the Raiders and the Ravens. Nobody gave the Raiders a chance.
Boy, how about that? Stunning. I mean,
13 unanswered points in the fourth quarter.
Right. Yeah, I think it's the first time in like 10 years that the Ravens have started the season 0-2.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, look at the Cowboys yesterday. I mean, they're such a weird team, the Cowboys, man. Just get smoked at home. I don't know how good the Saints really are, but, you know, they're off to a flying start. There's no doubt about that. Sam Darnold, how about him? Beating the 49ers.
I called it.
Did you?
Just so you know.
No, Tiki's calling it. And I don't mean, he doesn't mean the game. I mean, like, he thinks Sam Darnold's going to put it all together with competent coaching and offensive weapons.
Right. It's really belief in the coaching. It's really belief in the coaching. And by the way, that's the same thing that's happening in New Orleans with Clint Kubiak as the OC. You're seeing Derek Carr and, more importantly, Alvin Kamara get used properly. You know what I mean? And so coaching matters so much for some of these quarterback, running back, wide receiver combinations. And those two teams, and I think even including New England, they have a pretty good conversation. I mean, a combination of talent around them. And Ramondre Stevenson I mean, that kid can run, man.
Well, they got Antonio Gibson, Ramondre Stevenson. Like, they're going to be a challenge.
One other thing, too. Jacoby Brissett is legitimate. I mean, let's not forget last year that game against Washington on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. The Jets had a big lead in that game. Whoever was the quarterback goes out of the game. Brissett comes in and almost wins the game for him.
Yeah, we just kind of think of him as a backup.
Dangerous.
Yeah, we just think of him as like, he's just a backup that can just maybe win a game for you. But he's actually he's
not bad.
Exactly. He's not bad. That's exactly right.
He can beat you. There's no doubt about it. They got a good defense. The secondary now, we rarely do we see breakdowns in the secondary like we did yesterday when Metcalf beat them for about a 70-yard touchdown. You don't see that too often. But they're an opportunistic defense. They take the ball away. This will not be an easy game on Thursday night.
That my gut feeling, and it's still Monday, so obviously we got a few days before we get there.
And they're 7-point favorites, which to me is way too much.
I think it's going to be ugly, dirty, loose.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I do not have the confidence.
Way too much.
I didn't have the confidence that if we had this conversation in July, I'd probably you know what, we're going to blow them out. We owe them. It's going to be 2 in a row after the long losing streak. Now I think, not that the Jets are going to lose on Thursday, but it's not going to. We're going to sweat our asses off. Put it that way.
You know why?
Especially because the run game is so good in New England.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to sweat it because of the defense. The defense is not as good. I mean, you talk about the defensive line. They lost Bryce Huff. They lost John Franklin Myers. They lost Jefferson. They lost Al Woods. I mean, what?
They lost a lot of guys.
I forgot Al Woods,
too. They lost a lot of guys. Yep.
Yeah.
They lost a lot of guys.
I think there was an arrogance this offseason that they would easily be replaceable. But the defensive line is not the same as it was a year ago. And I think Joe may be right that we're going to be sitting here, not that the Jets won't be good, but their identity is going to be so different than it was a year ago.
Right.
Where they're going to need the offense to score enough points to win a lot of these games.
As long as number 8 is there and he's healthy, we got a shot. And that's how I feel right now.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Also, if you have those 2 running backs doing their thing.
Oh, my God.
Makes
Tremendous.
a big deal.
And it makes me think that they should have used Braylon a lot more week one.
Game one.
Because there were so many opportunities in short yardage situations where I even said to you, like, where is this guy? Now he's 20 years old. He's young. I think he's earning a lot more time on the football field.
No, he was great yesterday, and I got to see more of Mike Williams too. I mean, like I said, he made that big catch, that contested catch down the sidelines, and we don't see that kind of thing too often. I mean, I got to see this guy play more. I know they're being cautious, I guess, with him, but we need more of him as well.
Any concern, and this is something I don't have, but Sean and Loogie, you know the way they are. They're Giant fans. They're looking to kind of make us worried any way we can.
Right.
But they brought up the way Aaron was moving, his mobility. Any concern about the way he looks?
Well, I don't think he's got the mobility he used to.
Of course.
And that brings it back to the offensive line. I mean, he did have that one run when he got out of the pocket. He got about 3 yards. He went out of bounds.
Yep.
He actually got pushed before he went out of bounds, but they're not going to call that. But whatever. A little bit. My concern is not his mobility. My concern is him being healthy and playing.
That's it.
Okay?
Yep.
That's it. I mean, I'm not worried about him getting out of the pocket and scrambling. You know, if you're going to if you can't get away from the pass rush, go down. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, because he has to stay healthy.
Yes. And luckily, the offensive line, it's only 2 weeks in, and
they look good.
It would be an excuse for them to struggle learning how to play together. They do look very good. I mean,
agree.
they look like a unit that can be so far different than what we saw last year.
Yeah. And again, it's all about health. You know, it's like I love to use the line from Godfather 2, Hyman Roth saying to Michael Corleone, Michael, the most important thing is health.
That's it.
And that is the bottom line. You know what I mean?
Where is your confidence? 13 games to go, 7 at home, the uncertainty around Lindor. The pitching continues to be great. I mean, David Peterson yesterday was unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
The Braves, thank God for the Dodgers at least one day beating the Atlanta Braves.
And by the way, watching the ninth inning of that game last night, Snedeker decides Snitker, however you say his name, the manager for the Braves.
Snitker, yes.
Yeah. Decides to walk Ohtani, right?
Yes.
And that just opened the floodgates.
Mookie!
Boom, Mookie Betts with a big hit. Our good buddy Freddie Freeman with a big hit. And then boom, 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 boom.
Yes.
Home runs, 3 in a row.
That's how you know the Mets are in a pennant race. You're watching Sunday night baseball.
Can you believe that?
Yes.
Bro, let me tell you, I mean, I was, every commercial, I wasn't going to the red zone. I was going to the Met game.
No,
I got to tell you, during the Jet. I mean, I was locked into the Jet game, but, every commercial I was going to the Met game, and the pitching has really carried them. I mean, Manaea tonight needs to be what he's been now for, 2 months or however long it's been. But they don't hit. They got to start to hit. If they don't start to hit, then if they don't make the playoffs, it'll be because they have not hit enough. That's the bottom line.
Yeah. No, they got to wake up. They got a lot of guys capable of it.
Yep.
And it starts that they've done a great job against the Nationals. They're 8-2 against the Nationals.
Is that what the number is? 8-2?
Well, they better be 11-2.
Right.
Well, remember one thing about
Even
this
without
national
Lindor?
team now.
That's the question.
Yeah, right. Well, remember one thing about this national team. This is a lot of new guys on this team. They got a lot of young players on this team.
Yep.
And, they gave the Braves problems last week. I think they split 4 with them, whatever it was. So, but they need to sweep this series. And how about this, too? And this really ticks me off, okay? How about the fact that the last series of the year at home against Philadelphia, only one game is on SNY. They're on Fox Thursday night, the ridiculous streaming game on Friday that you're not going to see. Saturday, they actually are on SNY, and then Sunday, it's the ESPN night game.
Yeah.
That's a disgrace.
Well, Yankee fans are used to that. I think they just had it.
Right.
Like they're basically always off of regular TV because their game, they're a sexy team. And so the Mets and the Phillies is a sexy enough matchup where
I wish our football team wasn't so sexy with all these damn night. I know you love the night games.
I know.
But I hate them. Now, I'll be there. You're going to come and see me Thursday?
I will be there Thursday. Yes, I will come see.
Come to the Winters Brothers tailgate because that's where I'll be.
You got
with
it,
the
man.
Winters Bros.
You got it. Hopefully, we'll be celebrating a nice victory on Thursday night. Should be.
By the way, did the Giants get a kicker yet or no?
I haven't heard.
Well,
I know there's guys got to be in.
Kicker on the practice squad.
Let me ask you a question because again, I'm locked into the Jets, but it was obvious what was going on in the Giant game. I'm seeing the score and everything. When did Gano get hurt? Was he hurt before the game?
So he was dealing with a groin issue, but they were good to go to start the game. And on the opening kickoff, while trying to tackle an Austin Eckler kick return for a touchdown that, by the way, got called back, he pulled his hamstring.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very, very similar to Andrew Thomas pulling his hamstring on the blocked whatever it was. Field goal.
Right.
So first play of the game on a play that ended up getting called back anyway. It was the Giants.
Well, he was also hurt in warm-ups, Ev, too.
Was he?
Well, no, I just said he had a groin issue.
That was the groin.
Yeah, we're talking about the groin issue that he was on the injury report for.
The hamstring didn't happen in warm-ups.
He injured the hamstring during the kickoff.
But he still went out and kicked after leaving warm-ups early. That's what compounded it.
What?
Do you not know that he left warm-ups early? Also, he re-hurt the groin again in warm-ups?
Yeah.
Yes.
So the question is,
I didn't know that.
practice?
Yeah, so
I didn't know that.
He injured his groin again?
So he had the groin injury.
He re-injured it in warm-up.
He was warming up. He boomed a 60-yarder, a 58-yarder, and then had to cut his warm-up short because he came up lame with his groin right before, and he went into the locker room, and it was too late to have an activation.
Wow.
And then they still allowed him to kick off the opening kickoff.
That makes it even dumber that you would even allow him to be a part of the opening kick, where he got hurt running after Austin Eckler, who took it back for a touchdown.
I'm not a doctor.
And it got called back.
Sean, were you there?
Was I there? No, but it was being live reported by all the reporters during warm-ups.
The thing I wonder, sorry, Joe. Is that
Sean with the bag on his head?
Yes.
Joe, we're at that stage of the season already.
Sean, come on, it's week 2.
Exactly. Thank you, Joe.
Slow down.
He looks better though with the bag over his head.
Exactly. I can barely talk to him because I'm looking at recycled paper across his face. But the question, Sean, I have for you is: did he not come out to test his groin early? Because they do that. They usually do that when you have a lingering injury, just to make sure you're okay before they activate you.
So he did. He came out to test the groin, made a couple really long field goals, so they felt good about it, but then had to cut it short because he came up lame with the groin.
I'm talking about I'm not talking about the regular warm up. I'm not talking about when guys come out
early in the morning.
I'm talking about early. Like
that
at
I
10
don't
o'clock.
know. Well, basically, if he did, no reporter reported it.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah, so if you look, I mean, I'm not
if you have a groin injury, hamstring injury, whatever it is, you usually come out and test it before warm-ups are started. You're out there by yourself.
Right.
There's nobody there. There's nobody in the stadium. And if they didn't do that, then they asked for it.
When's the deadline for you to add someone to the active roster? Like, if he injures himself Sunday and they make the determination, you know what, he can't go.
Like, we get him, I want to say it's like 2 hours before game time. I can't remember because we get him.
Right.
Like, we knew beforehand, but the official elevation, like, for instance, there was a running back for the Ravens that got activated. But we got the actual or the confirmation like 2 hours before.
You have to technically elevate a practice squad elevation the day before, but then you have to make them active 2 hours before.
Yes.
So they had no choice that day.
Well,
they could have. That was the point. He got hurt Friday. They could have at least gave him the option.
So if they weren't, if he wasn't elevated, the guy on the practice squad, I forget his name.
Judd McNamee.
If he wasn't elevated on Saturday,
they could not have activated him.
They had no choice but to go with Graham Gano.
Right. Or they could have gone with Gillen early with the kickoff.
Right. At that point, they were screwed. By the way, Joe, that was the second time in the history of football a team scored 3 touchdowns, didn't allow any, and lost the game. That is a jet-like loss that they suffered yesterday.
Yeah, I did see that. By the way, Sean, did you get that from the White Sox fans? Is that where you got the bag?
No, I mean, Browns fans, we are playing the Browns this week, but we are the bigger dogs right now, Joe.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, the Browns did come off a win. Speaking of dogs, you talk about an overrated team. How about the Jacksonville Jaguars?
Yeah.
Is there anybody more overrated than they are?
And you know what they did before the game on Sunday? They renamed Everbank Stadium Trevor Bank Stadium in honor of Trevor Lawrence. That worked out well.
Yeah, well, you know what? Maybe it wasn't such a bad thing we didn't get him. And by the way, what was the one last thing I want? Oh, by the way, okay, I'm sure you saw the end of the Chief game. Is there any other team in football? Now, I understand, letter of the law, it probably was a pass interference call.
It was.
Is there any other team in the league that would have got that call in that spot, Tiki?
I think yes. Honestly, I believe it was the right call because I went back and just watched it.
Definitely was.
I went there on the merits, and the cornerback, Dejon Anthony, he came into he hit Rishi Rice really hard. I mean, it was because I almost feel like Rice like planned it because he was going to jump instead of going towards the trajectory of the ball. He went to a spot and stopped and then jumped, and then he got hit right when the ball was getting there. So it's almost like he baited that.
Yeah, smart.
But it was the right call. Yeah. Because it was a lot of contact.
It's the right call, but if that pass is being thrown by Zach Wilson a year ago.
No, there's no way. Come on, Teak. There's no way we're getting that call.
Maybe. You're probably right, but it was the right call.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. And look, I'm the worst that there is on the officials, but it was a letter of the law pass interference. But I just wonder if somebody else would have got that call. I don't know.
Matters the team. I mean, is there a star tight end dating a pop star? That's the real question.
He didn't do too much yesterday, I'll tell you that.
No,
Kelsey.
he didn't.
Well, the good thing is that a local kid, he's not local, but he went locally here, a kid from Princeton.
The kid from Cincinnati with the weird name.
Yeah,
what's his name?
Andre Yosevas.
Yeah.
He was my son's teammate a couple years ago.
Is that true?
Yeah, kid's a stud, man.
Your son's playing in Princeton? Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, he was a Princeton kid. He was a decathlete too. So he's like this elite athlete.
I bid $150 fake dollars on him in fantasy football, so he can be on my team now.
Oh, nice.
There you go.
He's a good red zone target.
Indeed. Yeah. Joe, appreciate it, man. Let's get a win Thursday.
I'll see you Thursday. Take care, guys.
The great Joe Benigno. Jets win. The Mets, some concerns. Francisco Lindor is not in the lineup tonight. He met the media, said it could be a couple of days. So who knows when we see Francisco Lindor again. More on the Mets, more on Garrett Cole chickening out on Saturday, and obviously a lot of Giants and Jets we continue to discuss at 888-808-1019. We come back, we get back to our calls. Plus, we see how we did. On Friday, we all gave specific stat predictions for Daniel Jones. How did we do? We'll find out next, live from the Town Fair Tire Studios, powered by Town Fair Tire. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody.